Are you someone who still enjoys Skate 3? If you are, chances are you've messed around with the custom park building mode. And if you have, and you're half as prolific of a park builder as I am, chances are you have fought the same battle that I have. I speak, of course, of the Great Equalizer, also known as the terrain meter. Maybe you've tried to build a big park, but have found that you just can't get very detailed with it. Maybe you want more for your park that you've worked so tirelessly on, but this SOB keeps you from reaching your park's full potential. Also, it's dumb and ugly and says mean things about people's mothers.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
But what if I were to tell you that there was a way to give yourself an unfair advantage in this battle against the terrain limit?
Is that what you're telling me?
You're damn right that's what I'm telling you. And you can do it all with this secret weapon, my patented park building cheat sheet. So stay tuned, because I'm about to hook you up with the deets on how to use it to make your custom parks the biggest and baddest ever. Let's start with the first column. Here is where I put in the muscle work of the cheat sheet, by counting how many of each unique park piece it takes to fill up the terrain meter to the max. This took a lot of time to do, 3 days to be exact. I had even more challenges to face when I tried counting the larger pieces. They took up so much space that I had to use merge glitch just to be able to fit them all. On a side note, I decided to leave the prop pieces out of the list as they have an entirely different meter and entirely different purpose. But if you'd like me to make a cheat sheet for them, let me know down in the comments. After counting all the terrain pieces, it was just a matter of doing the math to get the rest of the data. I know this probably seems like the boring part of the video, but trust me, this is the meat and potatoes to the whole list and why it is so invaluable. You see, it's not enough to just know how many pieces you can fill the terrain meter with. We need to know which pieces are the most economical. We want to know what pieces will give you the most bang for your buck, or in other words, the most surface area for the least amount of terrain meter used. To explain this, let's say we have to fill a space of 4 pads by 4 pads. Which do you think would fill up more terrain meter? The pads themselves, or a DLC street piece? As it turns out, the street piece is the more economical piece to use because it uses up less terrain meter than the 16 pads. Dividing 1 by the number of pieces to max meter gives us the percentage of the meter used per a single piece of a given type. I was able to take the percentages and divide them by the lowest percentage, the piece that affects the meter the least of all, which ended up being 0.13%, or in other words, the pieces that took 747 of them to reach meter max. This gave me a standard unit that I call a meter unit to go off of that anyone, even people who aren't good at the maths, can use as a quick reference. Now we're getting to the juicy bits. Next, I had to figure out the surface area of the largest side of each piece, or length for pieces like rails and other linear terrain pieces that I was too lazy to figure out the maths on. I also decided against figuring out all the surface area of the sinusoidal pieces like the vert roll-ins and the Zen S walls, because apparently I'm absolute trash at trigonometry. So I more or less just focused on the largest two-dimensional space they took up. But I did manage to figure out the surface areas of the cylinder or toroidal pieces, like the mega pipes. I measured each piece with a standard unit that I call a terrain unit, which is basically 1/8 of a pad's width, or the width of a basic or fancy ledge. Some of the pieces, however, weren't perfectly sized to match the terrain units. Now this last step is the most important part of the cheat sheet. Once I had these numbers down, all I had to do was divide the terrain units of each piece by its respective meter units. And then all I had to do was rearrange the table from the highest eco unit to its lowest. And there we have it, a data table, a cheat sheet that shows you which pieces you can use to give your park the most scale possible and still leave terrain left over for the details to make it the best park ever. Now I'm sure you don't want to keep coming back to this video, scanning for the parts where I show the list and pausing it just to read it. So I made this Skate 3 park building cheat sheet into a handy dandy little PDF file for anyone and everyone to download for free. If you'd like to own probably the most important park building tool that you'll ever use, you can find the link to it down in the description. And it's my hope that you'll be able to take it and use it to make the most epic Skate 3 custom parks this world has ever seen, of which of course I'd love to see. So feel free to come back to this video anytime and let me know down in the comments what you've made using this cheat sheet. Just leave the name of the park and your gamer tag so that other Gekkotians and I can check them out for ourselves and bear witness to your no doubt masterpiece of a park. Maybe I'll make a very special episode of Talkin' Skate and showcase some of the best ones. Until then, happy park building, Gekkotians. Peace.